Speaking of former Team Alpha Male, let's talk about this main event properly. Cory Sandhagen versus TJ Dillashaw. In TJ's first fight in a couple years, coming off doing some horrid roids and not roids but performance enhancers in EPO. Then Cory Sandhagen, the cleanest fighter, and he took that first and only loss in his UFC career to Aljamain Sterling, and then he got right back on the track with knocking the hell out of Frankie Edgar, and
Moraes.
Yes, and Marlon Moraes, thank you. And at the least, we could all say that this fight it's a fight of the year candidate. I would say this was maybe not the winner, but it's going to be up there. I think top 5 of the fights that we've seen, possibly, or at least main events. Top 5 main events.
I don't know, dude.
All right, fine.
It was a
really
good fight. It was a really, really good fight. Yes.
Is super back.
Fight of the year? No. I think there's been a couple of really, 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 really good fights this year.
Fine.
But yes,
really good fight. Really good fight.
Awesome.
And we can leave it at that. But ultimately, why I really liked TJ. Let's talk about the scoring for this. I agree that TJ won rounds 1 and 3. I gave Sandhagen 2, 4, and 5. Is that the same with you?
Did TJ get busted in the second?
TJ got busted up in the second because that was a no. The knee was also hurt in the second round, but I really remember it was that right cross that busted open that eye of TJ, and that was bad.
Yeah.
Because it
so I want to say
after 2.
I for sure went 2 and 4.
Yeah.
For Cory. 5, I was leaning towards Cory just because I thought starting in round 4, I thought Cory made all the necessary adjustments.
Yes.
Like we were talking about before, he stopped throwing the spinning stuff because TJ caught him a couple times. Either he would get to his back or he would be able to get him to the ground off of those spinning things, mostly just by following Cory's momentum. Like remember that one time he threw the knee and that ended up getting he ended up getting taken down to the ground because of that, even though he connected flush and it was a great hit.
Also that knee to the triangle was really impressive.
Yeah, it was great.
Like Cory Sandhagen. That was some high level stuff, you know?
I mean, props to TJ too for just staying calm and just posturing up and getting out of that sticky situation. Because I thought for sure like that looked strange to me.
It looked
and
deep.
then not to mention like Cory hurt his knee. I think TJ in his press conference yesterday was saying his knee was already jacked up.
Yeah, well, he was saying that he had a really hard camp and that
he said he had a torn MCL.
Hey man, that's what happens when you don't do.
And if you remember last week on, I know we're kind of jumping around here, but on Tough, that was a big storyline on Tough last week. Guy had a grade 2, I believe, MCL tear, and he chose not. Yeah, and he chose not to fight on that.
Which that was a weird decision, if I'm being honest. That was a weird episode of Tough.
Yeah,
but of course,
anyway.
I called it. Maybe not the same way, but after Volkanovski made it 4-2, I called that he was going to win the next 2 fights.
You could kind of see it coming that
so
way,
obvious, man.
You know?
It was so obvious.
But I like it though. Now it's kind of even Steven, so we'll see who's
obvious,
the top dog now.
It's still fun, but if you want to get the round per round breakdown, there's actually a little bit where you can make the argument that Cory Sandhagen even won the first round. If we're looking at striking, Cory outstruck TJ 15-8 on the ground. It was 0-4. And then on just talking about standing, round 2, 26-10, 22-23, 26-19, 37-38. So just striking. I mean, Cory won 3 of those rounds, and it was really close. The deciding factor ultimately is what appears to the judge, at least what it appears like, was the amount of back control and maybe control time that DJ had in this fight, because every round he had moments where he would push Cory against the cage, and he was on his back. He wasn't doing a whole hell of a lot. He wasn't even doing the Kamaru Usman toe stomps, you know.
He'd throw some, you know, some of those. What do you call those when dead legs?
Yeah,
knees to the leg.
Yeah, you need the quad, but nothing damaging, you know, nothing crazy. And so that's why if we look when there's some scoring issues, I always want to take a look at, you know, judge scoring criteria, and then like from the UFC website itself. When you take a look at the criteria, it's the 3 main groups in order is effective striking and grappling, then effective aggressiveness, then control of the fighting area. So I think the first one's where a lot of the controversy comes from, because in the distance, Cory Sandhagen was clearly the better striker. He clearly had the more effective striking. So is just holding someone against the cage considered effective grappling? And should that be considered more than effective striking? I don't think so.
I don't know. And I think another point that people were making too was the fact that TJ was the one putting the pressure on, advancing, dictating where the fight's taking place.
But that's normally the third in priority of
octagon control.
Yeah, octagon control is at the bottom. Control the fighting area. That's the lowest priority of scoring.
You're talking to the wrong dude, my guy. I picked Cory too.
I know. But
you're preaching to the choir.
There's so many people.
You should tell that to what's that dude on Twitter, bro? Andrew or something? He's fired up about it.
I love it. He's one of my favorite followers. Dude's awesome. But I agreed to disagree when it came to this fight.
Yeah. Well, so the thing with me that I have the biggest problem with, and maybe it's a casual take, but I didn't see Cory in trouble one time in there, man.
Yeah.
I saw TJ in trouble there about. I'll be nice and say 2 separate times.
I say 2. You could
argue 3.
1 to 2 times standing up, and then when he was in that triangle, I thought he was in trouble there too.
And I was saying for me, it was between, you could either say the triangle or when he transitioned to the knee. Mm-hmm. Like TJ was in trouble there. He even said Cory jacked my knee up right there. I was done for the rest of the fight after that. I couldn't pull. I couldn't do anything with that because he was lazy in that position. And then obviously, the knee that busted up his nose, mm-hmm. the straight or the cross that opened up his cut.
The fantastic cross, man. That thing is picture perfect. And you saw multiple times where,
and he dropped him damn near too, right in the second. Yeah.
Let's see. Did they rule that a knockdown?
I don't know if they did or not.
I don't think. Yeah, no, they didn't rule that a knockdown.
Because he kind of was stumbling a little. Yeah. He might have just caught him when he was a little off balance.
He rocked him.
But it looked bad.
He rocked him. And this whole fight, TJ would get a couple nice combos in here and there, but Cory Sandhagen was picking this guy apart from distance the whole time. The whole 25 minutes of this fight, he was picking him apart in the distance.
Yeah.
So,
it's a tough one for me. I personally still think, and I need to watch it again. Mm-hmm. But even after dissecting, what everyone said, what I remember watching, I still think Cory probably should have won that 3-2.
I would like to make it clear that Macy Barber versus Miranda Maverick, that was a robbery. That was a
robbery.
This fight, not a robbery. Cory Sandhagen did not get robbed in this one, but he should have won. The decision was bad, and as soon as I heard, because they read out his scorecard second, as soon as Saul Diamata's score was read out saying that he gave this fight to TJ Dillashaw, I was like, oh no, it is over for Cory. As soon as I said that, man, I hate that guy so much. In almost every controversial scoring decision you see, his name's on the scorecard. It's ridiculous, man. I really don't think we need this. There's a pattern. And the unfortunate part too, Blake, is maybe there's a lot of people that understand this, but not enough on at least on Twitter realize this, is that the UFC and Dana White, they don't pick who the judges are. That's solely up to the governing body in that specific state. So it's the athletic commissions that pick those. So the problem isn't the UFC or MMA or the president. The problem lies in the athletic commissions, but also we've been knowing that the athletic commissions have a lot of issues,
Just ask Nick Diaz.
Just ask Nick Diaz, I swear. The worst stuff.